I'm giving Pastor McMurtry an opportunity to come on. Okay, we've played the funny video. We've talked about how we think this is stupid. Now let's give him a chance. Now here's the thing. I anticipate this will be nice, Pastor McMurtry. Of course, in the comments section, he'll trash me and say whatever. But here we are on the stream. I'm sure he'll be nice, and that's great. You know, I appreciate that. He kind of has two different versions of himself. So let's bring on nice Pastor McMurtry. How you doing?
I'm doing good. As far as, I do have two versions of myself, but I regularly tell people that I filter my behavior on podcast. I'm honest about it. Nobody wants to see dumpster fires and they want to have intelligent conversations. And so because of that, it helps if I filter my behavior. Do you want filtered Tommy McMurtry or unfiltered?
I mean, I think you should just give it to me straight. I mean, I know what you think about me. I know you hate us, so just don't give me fake.
Don't flatter yourself. Don't flatter. You guys aren't worth hating. I do find you entertaining. Ben, sometimes I wonder if you're somebody I should be making fun of the way you act, because I'm mentally disabled quite a bit.
I'm disabled. Okay, that's
the spectrum,
awesome.
kind of. That's my opinion. This is unfiltered me. But let's have an intelligent conversation about this. Ask me your questions, because I heard a few. I've only heard a little bit of this, but I heard I'd like to know. So what do you want to know about this?
Okay. Explain to me why Revelation chapter 4 and 5 and Revelation chapter 7 are two completely different settings.
Okay. So yes. Again, if you watch the video, not just the edited one that Shelley did, I said on the podcast before I did that one, I said, I need your best proof text because my main proof text was taken away. That doesn't, and I made it clear on there. I have not changed my position on this. I'm just saying my main proof was taken away. I do not believe Revelation 7 is proof. And as far as it being some weird, obscure doctrine, if you watch my podcast, and I know you guys watch some of them, I have a lot of different guests on who have a lot of different persuasions. And there are many people who they believe in one coming, second coming of Christ, not two or two phases, however you want to put it. And so I have been trying to debunk what they are teaching, but some of them have some really good arguments if you actually talk to them. And my main proof text, when you look bad on that, you want to fix that. And it's like, okay, yeah, that doesn't necessarily prove anything. So let's go back to the drawing board, but I needed help. So I put it out there, knowing just challenging it would trigger Baptists, because Baptists don't do well with challenges. And so, but yeah, Revelation 4, without a doubt, he's in heaven. John gets caught up into heaven. He sees Jesus seated on the throne. But in chapter 6, something happens. We have what we all believe is the rapture, Jesus Christ returning. We have people on earth saying, hide us from the face of him that sitteth upon the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb, right? So this is what somebody brought up to me that was very interesting. Now, I don't have my Bible in front of me. Maybe one of you guys can look it up. But in Matthew chapter 25, towards the end of the Olivet Discourse, when he says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory and all the holy angels with him. Now, I have a hard time separating that from Matthew 24, when Jesus Christ comes in the clouds with power and great glory and sends his angels. It sounds like that's referring to the same event as Matthew chapter 24. And it says, when he does that, then shall he sit upon the throne. I'm not quoting this exactly. I'm going off of memory. So the thing is, all the elements of what we see in Revelation 7, where I've always believed Jesus is in heaven, we see those same things in Matthew chapter 25. So the thing is, because the question I had put to me, why do you think Revelation 7 is in heaven? Well, we've got the throne. Yeah, but we also have the throne on earth in Matthew 25. Well, we also have the angels. But when Jesus comes in Matthew 24, he's coming with his angels. There's one other thing that I said was there. I can't remember what it was, but there's one other thing. But all the elements that we see of things that we would associate with heaven, we see those things on earth. And then when you go to Isaiah chapter 25 and chapter 24, I don't have any of my notes in front of me, and I don't have the best memory on quoting things, but you see them, you see a reference to Mount Zion, I believe in chapter 24. And then in chapter 25, it says, he will swallow up death and victory. The Lord will wipe away tears from off all faces, which we see in Revelation chapter 7. And then in 1 Corinthians 15, it says, when this mortal shall put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. That's Isaiah chapter 25. So again, if it's in heaven, which is still my official position, we have to explain why what we're seeing in Isaiah chapter 24 and 25 appears to be on Mount Zion. We have to explain how Matthew 25, when it references Jesus coming in his glory and all the holy angels with him, we've got to explain why that's not the rapture there in Matthew 25. And that's something that takes place, a few years later. Okay. And I just don't have a good explanation for that. So when it came to the other verses, for example, be caught up with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. Well, why does that mean we have to go to heaven? If Jesus is coming to earth and we're meeting him in the air, the way the amillennialists interpreted that is that's like us going out to meet him as he is returning, which is a common thing they would do back then. When somebody would return to the city, they'd have a group of people that would go out to meet him, and then they would come back with them. And so that's a possibility. Either way, it's not proof. So I did that whole podcast saying, what's the proof? Now, what I got, I had a lot of people foam at the mouth, which I thought was hilarious. And that, which is also something I'm trying to get our Baptist brethren to stop doing, trying to teach them to have intelligent conversations. And so on my podcast, we do that all the time. Even people I don't respect, people I think are heretics, but I get challenged and I learn. And you would be surprised how many people do not believe we get raptured to heaven, which shocked me when I first came across it. But I'm like you guys, I'm from the Baptist world, which is mostly dispensational. And many people credit dispensationalism for the whole idea of us being raptured to heaven. I still think there's some ways that you can make a good argument that we're raptured to heaven, but you mainly have to use Revelation, of course, later in the book. After chapter 7, I think there's some things in there that strongly indicate we're in heaven. So then we have to reconcile, though, things that are specified in Mount Zion that are from the Old Testament, which I would say right now, there's a lot of things that under the Old Covenant look a little bit different from the New Covenant, and so maybe you can use some of those things to get around it. I've not really thought that stuff out. It's one of those things I've not thought it all the way through yet. I'm just saying.
Okay, so you're kind of entertaining the thought, and you're trying to figure out, okay, is this real? Is this not? But here's the thing, though, is like if you're just entertaining the thought, then why argue strongly for the position with sermon trailers for a while? Right. And it seemed like you kind of had your. It kind of seems like you have your mind made up. But okay, I'll take your word for it. Yeah. You don't currently believe that. That's fine.
I went off on sermon trailers because sermon trailers was acting like a maniac. That's why he was acting like he's still got a lot of new IFB in him. And
he's got a lot of new IB, because the new IB is just filled with insane people. I mean, Andrew Loza is a bastion of stability. When that guy gets up and he posts incessantly all day, every second of every day about us, that tells you how stable he is. He's talking about other guys' wives in like weird, creepy ways and stuff.
Hey, well, you got a problem with that? Hey, even you.
I said in weird, creepy ways.
Even you look creeped out when you guys were talking about my wife with Pastor Shelley and Pastor Anderson.
Well, it's a different
way. Hey, somebody tell.
Did Andrew Loza say anything weird about Remy's wife? Some weird crap? Did he say that, Pastor McMurtry? Are you gonna hold him accountable for that? Yeah, no, of course you don't know. You don't know. So I'm retarded. I have a mental issue, but Andrew Loza is great. Hey, how about Lionel? Do you think that he's a little weird? Do you think when he put up that post about how he has to, you think he's weird?
I think he's super weird.
Okay,
Bless
so
his
do you
heart.
agree with this post
agree
about how
with
he
that.
can't co-sleep because he's afraid he'll do something to his child? What do you think about that?
I
Do you
have.
agree with
I
that?
am not. I am not familiar with that.
Okay.
I
Okay, you're
think
not familiar
Lionel's
with that?
super weird. I think, yeah. I mean, I think you would only find somebody like him from a new IFB church, personally.
Okay, but he hates the new IFB. So
Well,
he left.
now
You said
now that he got thrown out.
you said everybody who left the new IFB, or all the normal people rather, left the new IFB. I'm curious, and we'll get back to the rapture
A bunch
thing.
of freaks left too. A bunch of freaks left too.
Is Lionel a freak too?
If from what you're telling me about the co-sleeping thing, that was super weird.
Okay, let's look at it. I'm gonna look at it right now.
I got no defense of Lionel. I don't know him personally at all. From just some of the things I've seen online, he's kind of weirded me out.
Okay, let me see if you agree with this right here.
Well,
Okay.
while you're pulling that up,
He says one night. I'm gonna play this.
Go for it. Go for
Okay,
it.
look at this. You tell me if this is weird. You said all the normal people left. Is this normal to you? Funny with
I
a dog?
didn't say everyone
Sure.
who left is normal. I never said
Oh,
that.
not everybody. Okay.
I said that, but the normal people left. But
He says-
some weirdos left too.
When people are half conscious and there's a child in the bed instead of a spouse, not funny anymore. So he won't co-sleep because he's afraid he might do something to his child. Is that weird
that
to
is
you?
so weird. How long
Okay.
did that guy go to Faithful Word? Holy cow!
Yeah. Where is he now? Who does
I
he
have no
fraternize
idea.
with now?
He was
is it
never
the
in our
ex-NIFB?
He was never. I have no idea. He was never in our church.
Oh, he's never in our church. Okay. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of curious.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
I'm glad to know Andrew Loza's a smart guy and totally intelligent and stable and wonderful, and you have no issues with him.
Andrew Loza's not stable.
But-
Bless his heart too. I've had to try to talk him off the ledge multiple times. I've kind of
This is
given
going to
up.
be a kill shot. This is going to be the slam dunk, as it were, for Andrew Loza when he listens to this.
311
He's gonna-
people.
I'm honest with Andrew Loza, so he's not going to be surprised by that.
Yeah.
I'm honest. I'm honest. Listen. I'm honest with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he knows. I just recently I had to get on to him for something he did
I was
involving
going
me.
to-
I'm like, dude, you can't do that. He was trying to use some stuff with me and my boys, and kind of exploiting the disturbing situation with Anderson's eldest. And I was like, I don't want to take any part in exploiting that. I said, don't put me in that stuff. And I don't know if he ever took it down or anything, but I said, don't use me for that. That's a horrible, horrible thing. It's a horrible situation. And I tell him when I don't like stuff he does. And and I've had to talk him off the ledge multiple times. And he's never been to our church, and I've never met him in person. Talked to him one time on the phone, but I still like him.
You still like him. Okay, cool.
I find him very
I'm glad you
entertaining.
like him. I'm glad to know that your standards of who you like and fellowship all revolve around whether or not you hate the same person. I think that's great.
No, I
you know?
liked Loza back when he loved
Who do you-
Anderson.
Who do you don't even, let me ask you a question. When did I become autistic? Was it after the whole Pastor Anderson controversy or before? Because before you had no issue with me, I thought.
I was worried about you before, but I'm usually pretty nice to mentally disabled people.
Okay, you were.
Hold
Okay,
on,
you
hold
were,
on.
you were
All right,
worried
Ben,
about
hold
me
on.
before,
Ben,
but you were nice. Okay.
I feel
Hold on.
bad that Shelly exploits you the way he does,
Because
though.
I have a question. All right, that's
Oh, yeah?
that's rage bait, Ben. That's
Okay.
rage bait.
That's-
Don't
that's
take
good.
You
I
know
like
that's
that.
rage bait.
Yeah, you
know
said no
that's rage
filter.
bait.
You
That's
said
fine.
I did.
no
I'm not
filter.
opposed.
I can put the
I'm not
filter on.
opposed. I'm not opposed to it. I'm
Okay,
just
I'll
telling
put the
Ben
filter
not to take
on
the
if
rage
you
bait.
want.
No, I'm glad. Hey, listen, I'm glad that
I have a question
that
for Pastor
you're
McMurtry.
doing what your wife told
I
you to
have
do
a
tonight
question
instead
for
of
Pastor
Thursday.
McMurtry.
The reason I think that,
If I
let
can
me
get one
explain
in.
why I think that is you appear to just be like playing a character, and it's so over the top that it's like, and I don't, but at the same time, with a lot of people,
Give me
that
one
are like
example.
that, just your harshness. You know,
Give me an example of when I was overly harsh.
And everything. All right, here's
Give me
a
one
great
example.
shame. Any guy who beats his wife's a piece of trash. But then at the same time,
I believe that
too,
today. I believe
Okay,
that
good,
today.
good,
I was
good,
talking about somebody who would literally take a closed fist and beat the crap out of their wife like
I
a
don't remember
Muslim
you saying
would.
closed fist. Nobody was saying closed fist until all of a sudden that became the new standard. You didn't say closed fist.
I didn't say
didn't-
closed
you didn't
fist, but
say
that's the
closed fist.
context in which it
You
was
didn't
being
say
said
clo-
because I
you-
was preaching
nobody
against
ever
Muslims.
specified closed
I was
fist
preaching
until
against.
Anderson.
Okay, I'm going to mute you because you're talking over me. I was preaching against Muslims. I was not talking about Christian domestic discipline, which is when you want to make that connection, and all of a sudden claim that I'm some kind of hypocrite or something like that. That's not the context of what I was preaching about. The context was Islam, and I was trying to make the point that if you're going to beat the crap out of your wife and bloody her, you are a piece of crap, and I believe that to this day. Period. And you're going to slander me, and you're going to claim that I said the opposite. Now, Cameron, I'm going to give you the floor because I have to charge this, and I'm going to unmute Pastor Tommy McMurtry. And I love this. I like that you're giving me the real mask-off version of yourself rather than the fake fraud that was on the Baptist bias trying to be all kind and nice when we know that you hate us. We know it. We know you hate your brother in Christ. We know you despise us with everything that you have. Your only issue with me is who I like. Your only issue with me is who I associate with. Before that, everything was hunky-dory. Everything was fine. But because I'm friends with Pastor Shelley, Pastor Anderson, etc., all of a sudden there's an issue. That's your problem, and I think that's wicked. I'm going to unmute you.
All right. Well,
your Benelogs are one of the reasons I feel that way about you. That was a good one right there.
It is. I'll tell you, it's genuine, Ben. He is not filtered.
He's like that all the time.
He's unfiltered. He's genuine. I don't think that's a negative. That's not. Okay. I'm not down on him. But to kind of, you and I have really not interacted that much, Pastor McMurtry. I know that.
I remember you from Oklahoma.
You recall, I'm sure, preaching for us in Oklahoma, and then you had made a statement. My question really goes to a statement that you had made later about how, and forgive me if I don't remember all the details correctly, but it was something to the tune of that you really thought the folks in Oklahoma were normal, that you had a good time hanging out with us. What changed? Because we sided with Pastor Shelley or Pastor Anderson in some drama. What changed? Furthermore, on that, you've drawn this line where you say all the normal people have left the new IFB.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my question. Do you not then think that the people that were at Oklahoma are normal? Do you not then think, was it not genuine that you had a good interaction with us when you came to preach? Was it not true that you enjoyed your time when you came? Was that fake? And I think that it could be, and I'm not saying this is a fact because I don't want to get misconstrued as, oh, you're railing. I'm just saying that it could be construed. It could be perceived as disingenuous when you seem to have a good interaction, you bring it up that everything's fine, and then later on it's like, oh, they were normal. I don't know what happened. I don't know why, whatever. And then all the normal people have left the new IFB. Do you genuinely believe that there is no normal person or no normal church in the new IFB, for the record?
Yeah. So my experience in Oklahoma was a good one. You guys came across as very normal. And that was my impression for sure. But my honest opinion, I don't understand how normal people could have Jonathan Shelley as a pastor, support Pastor Anderson, and especially, after seeing what's happened with his 4 oldest children, all the stuff that's going on. If this was any other pastor's family, I have no doubt about this at all. We would all be like, what was going on in that household? We would be accused of all kinds of things. We're disqualified. And so watching you guys continue to support those guys.
Okay, so your only issue is because of who we support. I said this earlier. Your only issue is who we support, period. That's your only problem.
I would like him to finish because I do have a follow-up for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, seeing you guys continue to support men like that tells me that my impression of you is wrong. I only was there for 1 day.
Sure. I understand. I get that. Sure.
I got it. I'm still listening. I've got to get a plug. My battery's really low.
Well, here's what I was going to bring up. You made this comment just now.
I'm listening to you.
That had been, you're good. You said if this had been any other pastor, that we would have been against them. We would have been saying they're disqualified. We would have been saying X, Y, and Z. But I seem to remember when someone in the new IFB got up and preached a message against Pastor Hiles for something that his child did, of how one of his children turned out and how it was condemned by the new IFB. Specifically, Pastor Shelley was very offended by that. And I think rightfully so, because even then there was a consistency about who was at fault. And it's not the parent's fault when an adult child goes wayward. I don't believe that that's ever been the standard. I believe that it is not accurate to say that that was the standard or is the standard or would be the standard if it were anyone else, because I think that we literally saw it happen before this was even a thing, and it didn't transpire in the way that you are supposing that it would.
Right.
Am I wrong?
So here, I have continued to say, I have always said, one guy's child going bad, that doesn't disqualify him. You know, a child going bad after they leave the home, that also does not disqualify them. I've said that. I continue to say that kind of thing. When you have 4 in a row, when one is still a minor and is a runaway, when they go as far as just attacking their own father the way they're doing, when they get involved in such horrific things like we're seeing, and then to see the way Anderson has responded to this is very disturbing. Again, Jack Hiles, I do think he failed miserably when it came to raising kids. I don't know what the timeline was, like how bad, or how quickly they went bad. I know some pastors who had kids, they grew up, and then years later they went bad. You know,
okay. But his point is that he brought up an example of a different individual who had bad kids, and yet when somebody got up and ripped on him, the new IFB said, "Hey, we don't like that. We're against that." So you made the claim if it was anybody else, then you wouldn't have responded in the same way. And Cameron clearly brought up an example of someone else,
because I don't think it
and
compares.
We responded in the same. Well, it clearly does, because in both cases you have bad children. They're both pastors. Obviously, the difference is one is dead. Right. I get that. But, you know, I think that Cameron, in all fairness, I understand I'm biased, but I think that he, you know, offered a legitimate response to that claim. Besides, we're arguing hypotheticals here. Well, you would have hypothetically done this, or you would have hypothetically done that.
Something nobody's brought up too, though, because while Anderson keeps claiming like they're out of my house, well, we all remember what was going on when they were in his house. I was still friends with Anderson when the chat scandal went down. Back when that whole thing went down, I called Anderson up and I told him, I was like, man, I said, people need to see you take this serious. I said, I highly recommend you take a sabbatical, give your church, say, I had no idea this was going on. You know, I need to figure out what's going on with my family. I need you to give me a couple months. I recommended it 3 months. I said, at least a month. I said, let people preach for you, figure out what's going on with your family, let your church see you take this thing seriously. But he instead used it as an opportunity to get rid of all the people in his church that hated him. And so the thing is, when everybody saw,
okay, how do you know that he did that? Do you attend the church?
Because he told me. He said,
okay.
He said no. He said, I'm not going to do that right now. He said, these people that are in this church trying to rub my nose in this, they're trying to use this because they hate me. They're trying to destroy me, and I'm not pastoring people like that. I want to get rid of them. And I told him, I said, I think I agree, because some of those people I thought were weirdos too. Some of them had reached out to me trying to tell me all about it. They were trying to claim my kids were involved in it, so I would look at it because they wanted me to attack Anderson over it. And I told him, I said, I agree. I think some of those people are bad. But I said, if it is perceived that you're using this situation where your kids did wrong as an opportunity to throw people out, it's just going to look like you're throwing people out for calling out the wickedness that your kids did. And so I said, I agree they're bad. I would want to get rid of them too, but your kids messed up, and your church needs to see you taking this thing seriously. And so with the things that everybody was concerned about back then in 2020, now it's like our concerns were legit, because look at what's going on. Look at what has happened. Something was very wrong in that home while they were in the home. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, so did he not punish his children for that? I mean, it's pretty clear that he did. Yeah, first of all,
did he?
So did he? I have a question.
Yeah,
did he go
he spanked them.
Did he go a little too hard or not hard enough? Because it seems like it's kind of like he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. Because he either went too hard on them after that, or he didn't go hard enough. I mean, which one is it?
I don't know what he did on that. I don't know the details.
Okay. But it's for sure that he did wrong. No question about it. It's his fault.
No. I'm saying he didn't fix anything. his house was already
He
out of
didn't fix
control
anything.
clearly from that.
Except that there
and he
were
didn't
no
fix it.
other issues that we knew of with those children up until the time that they
Look, we're not
left
gonna-
the home. And look, that's right. It's besides the point anyway. I'm just saying, like, logically, I don't feel like that tracks. Two, another point that was brought up is I do think that he handled it. I remember that whole whatever you want to call it going on. I believe that Pastor Anderson preached a private sermon to his congregation addressing it locally there. Another point that was brought up, just kind of going through the things that were brought up. You made a comment about how he used it to purge his church of people that hate him.
Yes.
What pastor
that's what he said.
wants people that hate? No, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not
let's
challenging that
we'll
that's
go
what
with it.
happened.
But what pastor
I'm not
wants to pastor a
challenging
church that hates him?
What church pastor wants to pastor a church full of people that hate you, that want to rub your nose in past issues that have been handled, that have been repented of by the children allegedly? I don't know firsthand.
No, they
but
did.
I'm saying that
They weren't repentant.
okay.
It was obvious then. There was evidence they had not repented shortly after, and proof that they have not repented is very evident.
Well, I'll say this: I saw the
And
chat.
anybody who, and I never thought they had repented back then. Anybody who thought they repented back then was drinking Kool-Aid.
So do you
Well,
have a
hold
problem
on,
with Isaac?
hold on.
Hold on. Do you have a problem with Isaac Anderson then?
Yeah, I wish he would, clean a lot of his act up. I really do.
Okay. And all the
I'm
rest
very,
of them too.
I love the guy, but I'm concerned.
Go ahead, Cameron.
I saw the chats. Okay, I'm not going to bring up anything that was in the chats, but let me just say this: I did not grow up Baptist. I did not grow up saved.
They did.
I didn't get but hold on. You're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying that I did not. The same sins that beset one beset all. It doesn't matter if you're saved or not. And those chats, I'm just telling you, I wasn't saved until I was 26. It's just a good thing that the stupid stuff that I said with friends and joked about in group chats isn't publicly available for everybody to see or whatever, because sometimes you do things in the context of other people. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that you get comfortable around certain people, you joke about stuff, you go too far, which I've done, and you look back later when you get older, as I've done now, and said, wow, that was pretty stupid. And I'm sure that there are things I'm doing today at 33 years old that I'm going to look back on when I'm 40, when I'm 45, and I'm going to say, man, you know what? That was pretty stupid to me then, because everyone grows and has their own different growth. It's just like, because someone else's sins aren't that public, we cannot then go and say, oh, well, they're definitely just more wicked. They're definitely not repentant. How could we say that they're not repentant? Hey, maybe it's not as public. Maybe they're not as on big of a platform, but hello, and I'm just going to get called a lapdog for saying this. Not everybody is Pastor Anderson. Not everyone is turning the world upside down with the gospel. Not everyone has probably just done amazing, wonderful, great works for the Lord, as we know Pastor Anderson has done. Whether you want to say that I'm drinking Kool-Aid or whatever, that is just a fact. That is a
that's
fact.
all. It's drinking Kool-Aid because Anderson said the exact same thing. But let me say this about that.
Because it's fact. He also probably
But
says
hang
the
on,
world is
hang
a
on.
globe.
But
I know that he
so
does. But dude, it's a fact.
Do the
Am I drinking
qualifications of a
Kool-Aid?
bishop not apply to him then? I just want to know.
Yes, they apply.
Okay.
You know that we believe that as well. You know that that's a non sequitur, that we would believe that as well. You already knew the answer to that question. What you're doing is you're trying to, well, let me back off. I'm going to back off a little bit because I don't want to surmise. I'm just saying what it feels like you're doing is you're laying the foundation for one of these, like, oh, I'm going to try to have you a gotcha moment. But the problem is that I've thought through these arguments. Normal people are not just putting on blinders and going through their lives and following blindly any man. I am surrounded with normal people that I know in the new IFB that are logical, that and maybe I am just way deep in the Kool-Aid train. Maybe I've just been drinking it, hand over fist or whatever. But I have sat with my wife and we have just thought, wow, it's crazy that people are going the other route. We're
going to get back. I want to ask you another question about your rapture thing before we have to let you go.
That's true.
But because we go on and on about this, you want to get up here and you just
hey, whatever
gossip. You want to gossip about
whatever tough questions you have. Ask them while I'm here. don't. I wonder what he thinks. I heard a few of those before, so now's your chance.
Okay, but I put you on.
I didn't bring up Anderson and all that. You guys brought up because you were assuming that that's my problem with all of you.
Well, then let's just
And
get
so
off
you guys
of it and
brought
get back
that
on
up.
topic.
Okay, so then basically you're just two-faced then.
Let's just get back on topic.
Wait, how's that being two-faced? I wasn't interested in talking about that. I came to talk about the rapture stuff. But you
No,
asked.
my point is
I'm not-
that you so then basically
there's
you
no
secretly
filter.
disliked. So you secretly disliked me for years.
No, so
And it
no,
wasn't
no, no.
until now.
No, absolutely not. I always liked you. I found you entertaining. You were fun to watch. Your behavior was enjoyable. I have watched the video of you giving it to Todd Ferguson several times. That video is hilarious, and I think you're hilarious. So
I think we need to get back.
Let me
on
ask one more
topic
thing.
of
Let me
the
ask one more
rapture.
thing. Let me ask one
Yeah,
more
do
thing,
what
and
you're
then we'll
gonna
get
do.
into the rapture again. Let me ask
Yeah.
one more thing. Name one over-the-top doctrine Pastor Shelley believes. I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm just curious. When he's saying, "Oh, he preaches over the top," he's over the top. What's one doctrine he believes that's over the top? Is it the sodomite issue? Do you not believe the sodomite thing anymore? What is your problem?
do you have reason for me to think that, or did you just throw that out there to try to make it look like I'm changing on that?
I speculated because I don't know. So I'm curious, what is the
I
one
know, but
doctrine?
do you have a reason to think anything has changed on that?
Pastor McMurtry, you said to ask the question.
I'm asking
just being
you a
honest.
question.
And he
No,
asked you the question.
What doctrine?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Is he over the
like
top
an over
on?
the top doctor? I think most of it is just like the rhetoric and the preaching, the way he preaches this stuff. I
Okay,
think
can you
most
give me a
stuff with
specific
Pastor
example?
Shelley, cutting off women's hands for defending their husbands. That's one.
He said we should physically go and cut off someone's hand for defending their husband.
If we lived in a biblical society,
He said not literally. Like that's a direct
not
quote.
literally, but he said not literally, but if we were a biblical society, we would.
Okay. Is there a statute in the Bible where a woman would have her hand chopped off? Yes or no?
Yeah, and it's not for defending their husband on an online Facebook comment.
That's an anachronism. Of course it's not. But that statute exists, doesn't it? So he's taking this concept and making a figurative point about the subject that he was preaching over. Okay. So again,
that's one example.
How is it
That's
over the
first one that
top?
popped into my head.
But what was over the top about
Because it doesn't even closely relate to the situation. So he's taking a specific situation, and then he's going farther than the Bible with it. And like, hey, if a woman defends her husband on Facebook, she, deserves the same kind of treatment.
Not
So
literally.
that's an
So you know
example.
that's not true, though. You
But
know
he
that's
said-
not true.
I don't know, because he said not literally, but if we lived in a righteous society, we would. So I don't know. He kind of said both ways.
Okay, so we have a woman who takes a cheap shot physically, and then a woman who takes a cheap shot verbally online. It's a direct
very,
correlation.
very different. I'll take cheap shots online all day before the cheap shot the Bible's talking about.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Hey, I'm glad you thought of an example. Is there one more you could think of maybe? Because if he's characterized by over-the-top doctrines, there's got to be at least one more.
Well, the term that has been used by you, Pastor McMurtry, is a shock jock.
Yes.
So what specifically does
So
Pastor Shelley preach?
So here's one. Cussing isn't really a thing.
Yeah, I knew the cussing was coming.
Yeah.
All right.
I believe
that's
before
one.
I was saved. I believe that when I got saved, before Pastor Shelley even preached that, because I just knew that it never came up. I do not believe in going around and blowing my
Can
mouth
you
off
find
at
me
work or
another
something.
preacher in the history of the IFB who's used the F word from the pulpit?
I didn't grow up IFB, so no,
Even after
I
he
cannot.
did it, he did the Pastor Anderson, woo, like, because he knew it was offensive.
I think people,
All
sure,
right.
plenty of things are preached that other people will find offensive. It doesn't make them wrong.
Okay. There's evangelicals. There's evangelicals who hold to the idea that cussing isn't a sin. It's not an obscure doctrine like we're getting raptured to Temple Zero.
I
Let's
said,
go ahead and
can you find another Baptist on the planet that's ever said the F word from the pulpit?
If given enough time, probably. Yeah, I didn't
I'm
come
sure
to
we don't-
here.
that's
we
like an
don't know
impossible
unless we
question
heard
to
about
answer
Preachers
right off
that
the
have
top.
said
I
the
mean,
F word from the pulpit.
So yeah,
But I'm
that's
just saying,
one
like,
example.
Probably.
okay, here's one right here. Here we go. Dallas Dobson cussed from the pulpit.
Never heard of him.
legendary pastor in the old IFB. Okay,
He used the F word? Or he cussed?
Pastor Anderson said cussed right
So,
there.
yeah,
so
it's cussed from the pulpit. Yeah, I've heard Baptist preachers do the Bible word cussing from the pulpit before. And I know one preacher, I won't name him, it's not my story, and he's repented of it. I know a pastor very well who cussed from the pulpit one time. It wasn't the F word. I'm not sure. I know it wasn't that one, but and he accidentally did it, and he caught himself and was super embarrassed by it and apologized for it. I know another Baptist
since you're
pastor,
talking about him, he says, I'm fine admitting I may be the only one.
Yes.
Yeah, well, let's say that is
so I'm
true.
curious.
Let's say that he is the only one. Where in the
Baptist
Bible,
cussing, Baptist cussing, if you want to call it that, I have heard even from outside the new IFB. I've heard that, and I never broke fellowship with the new IFB over that. I've never done it. I don't do it. I don't approve of it, but I've never divided over that. But that's where Shelley always goes to another level. Pastor Anderson's always used the biblical cuss words from the pulpit. Shelley had to one up him, though. He uses the F word from the pulpit.
And will you be talking about this like 20, 30 years from now? I mean, how long is this going to be a talking point for you?
As long as it keeps triggering you guys.
That's the motivation. I mean, I could tell.
Hey,
I'm serious. Like,
it's fun to put. Listen, I used to be a youth
Are
director.
you just a troll? Like, is this all a character? And you're going to call us tomorrow and be like, "Hey, it was all just a gag." And I seriously am disgusted by Shelley using the F word from the pulpit. Absolutely. But at the same time, the fact that me just mentioning it can trigger y'all so bad. If you give me the power to snap my fingers and make y'all's heads explode, I'm going to snap my fingers. I can't help it. You make it too easy. I'm sure we do. And
I do think there's a difference, though, I do think there's a difference, at least for me, and I'm sure, Ben, you would agree. There's a difference between just passionately discussing something and being triggered. I think this word triggered flies around a lot. I think I could speak for myself personally. I'm not triggered.
Well, you guys were going pretty strong when I came on the stream.
Let me ask you a question.
I argued with Pastor Shelley about whether or not beans belong in chili. Do you think I'm really triggered about that? No, it's just fun sometimes to get worked out. Now, I do believe it. It is genuine. I'm not firing up the base. Okay,
beans belong in chili.
I do believe it. Well, I might change my doctrine now. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Okay, that's a joke.
Hey, do you realize he apologized?
His chili.
I didn't even hear you. Do you realize that he apologized for that? Or does that not mean anything for you? What does he have to do to atone for the sin?
No, I asked him specifically about that, and he told me he didn't. He said he's sorry if you were like offended by it. But because I told him one time when I was talking to him, I said, I think you should publicly apologize. He said, if you would publicly apologize, then I said, then I kind of have to leave it alone at that point. But he just said, I can't because it wouldn't really be genuine. That's what I told him that.
Okay. He sent a very, listen, I go to the church, so I have the right to talk about it. He might
have apologized to you guys privately. I asked him about it.
Okay. That's great. So I attend the church. He sent a very long email. First of all, he did publicly apologize. And second of all, he sent a very long email where he said that he was sorry for saying that. He literally said, quote, Pastor Shelley's not always right, and he understands if you didn't like the word, and he's never going to use it again. And here you are, you're still harping about it.
That's good news. I'm glad he had to do some damage control. That shows that there are some people in that church that have somewhat of a will.
Wait, are you saying that there might be normal people?
Maybe if it caused him some trouble and he had to do damage control, that I'm encouraged.
It didn't cause him trouble. It didn't cause him trouble. It didn't cause him that much trouble.
But if you had to send an email and give a heartfelt apology.
Well, if you're going to change your mind about where the rapture is, and you're going to change your mind about Temple Zero and concubine weddings, maybe you'll change your mind.
Here's what I changed my mind about.
To be fair, you did specifically say that you were corrected. Those are your words and not mine.
About Revelation 7. About Revelation 7.
Heaven.
About it not being proof. About it not being proof. I was very clear about this. Okay, you guys, you're just showing the edited clip from Shelley. I said it doesn't prove because it could be the elements that we see there are also in Matthew chapter 25 on earth. So that alone doesn't prove. I said, if there is a place somewhere that does in fact show we get raptured to heaven, then we can say that Revelation 7 is in heaven. But chapter 4 is not proof because that's before Jesus Christ returns. So see, when you actually have discussions regularly with people of other persuasions, it forces you to be honest. And
right.
I'm being honest when I'm having an honest conversation with somebody and I'm telling them, no, Revelation 7 is proof. And then they go to Matthew 25 and I say,
all right,
Revelation 7 is proof because of this, this, and this. And then they show me all those things on earth in Matthew 25. And I'm like, well, that isn't proof.
okay.
And so I had to show them another place that actually shows us getting raptured to heaven. And I didn't have anything at the time that was clear enough.
I want to get some more questions about the issues in. We can go back and forth, yell at each other. It's good television, but it's not productive.
Yeah, I'm sure this will help your ratings.
It actually is.
Will
very
this
much
have
so.
more views than the Spirit of Prophecy podcast or not?
Probably.
Well, I don't want to get into a ratings battle. Maybe he has more.
I'm being intentionally a troll. Okay.
All right, Pastor. Here we go. McMurtry needs to just move the bleep on about Pastor Shelley cussing. He apologized. Get over it. Well, it's not. That's not going to happen.
He told me he didn't. Hey, if I missed something, that's fine. I encouraged Shelley to do it. But he's told me
let's get to the issue
because it wouldn't be genuine.
I want to get to John. I want to get to John 14.
Pastor Shelley did say in the comments that Pastor McMurtry is right about their conversation. So I don't want it to seem like Pastor Shelley is not at least addressing what you're saying, because I don't want
you are.
If he apologizes, I'll leave it alone.
I'm saying is that Pastor Shelley is not denying what you're saying is true. I'm not saying that's at odds with what Ben is saying. All I'm saying is that he is in the chat.
Right.
And
I have a legitimate reason
right about the conversation.
Right. Yeah. I have a legitimate reason for believing he didn't. But if he did,
he's not.
Then I stand corrected.
Okay.
And
all right. That's enough.
Now I can't keep rubbing his nose.
We're done talking about this topic. I want to move on. It's boring.
Hey, we got back to the topic though. We were just talking about.
Okay. And just to be clear, he said I wouldn't apologize about believing cussing is a sin, just to provide context, but it's fine. You're going to go and you're going to do your narrative, whatever. The reality is, Pastor McMurtry, it just feels like there's no winning with you unless we come out and hate the same people you hate, and that's sad. It really is sad.
No,
We're going to go to John 14.
I'm playing the other side here, Ben. I'm playing the other side for a second.
Now,
you wanted to get back to the topic. Let's get back to the topic.
But no, hang on. You can ask. Listen, you can ask Pastor Anderson about this. After the John interview came out, I called him up, even though I wasn't friends with him. When I broke fellowship with Pastor Anderson, I told him, I said, I like you. I don't like everything about you, but I said I can't handle all the people who come with you, and I have no desire to tell him who his friends were. But I just refuse to have to, be also connected to all the other people that comes with him. And so I still personally liked him, which I'm kind of embarrassed by. And when the John interview came out, I called him. I told him, I said, you need to step down. It will prove to your congregation and your audience that you believe the things you preach. And I said, you'll still be able to be influential. I said, the world can benefit from your teaching on the King James and on prophecy and salvation and many other doctrines. But I said, if you keep going, if you keep pastoring, even after all this, it's, you're going to hurt your credibility. And I think it's going to get worse. I said, and this was before the Merriam interview came out that caused a lot of problems. Right. I didn't want to see him get destroyed because I acknowledged many of the good things that he stood for and was promoting. And I didn't want that to go away. Even though I didn't want to be connected to him publicly, I wanted good for him because I appreciated those things. And so that was, you can ask him about that. That was my conversation with him back when this whole thing went down.
But that's not exactly relevant to what I said.
It's not about hate.
Let's bring it back. Bring it back. We're way off track. And especially if you have firsthand knowledge, Pastor McMurtry, that we do not have.
What? Right. Yeah,
if you don't bring it back. Let's just bring it back to the topic at hand.
Because they can't.
Why are we still doing this?
We got to go back to John 14.
I'm just saying, let's just go. We should all just go back to.
Let me ask you a question about John chapter 14. We could go on and on past, and I don't want to keep muting you because I want you to talk, but I'm gonna have to do it if you're going on and on and on. Okay.
I say, let it go.
Let's go to John 14 and verse 2. And I want to get your response to this. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. Now, my question is, where are these mansions?
Hmm. I think it's reference to the New Jerusalem.
And where would that be?
Right now, it's in heaven.
So would the mansions in that passage be in heaven?
Yes.
And when Jesus says, I come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also.
Right.
Can we conclude that those who Jesus is receiving would then also be in heaven?
Not if he's coming to earth. Because if he's coming to earth, we're going to be with him.
Okay, I understand that, but he's coming to earth, and we are going to be gathered together unto him, and he will receive us, and we'll go to the setting in which the mansions exist in verse number 2. So my question is...
So the mansions are just for a 3.5 year period?
I didn't say that. I'm just asking if he's preparing a place for us,
right,
and he's coming again to receive us.
Whoa, time out.
Where
time out.
are we going?
When does New Jerusalem even come down? When?
After the millennium.
Right. When does the rapture happen?
Before that. No, so
okay.
No, yeah, no. I'm just telling you though that where it says where I am, there you may be also. I'm saying so if we is going to heaven, then yeah, that's where we're going. But if he's coming to earth, we're still going to be with him, and he's still preparing a place for us that they're waiting for. Ultimately, that's where this thing's heading, to the New Jerusalem. And again,
New Jerusalem.
I don't think anyone's saying that.
Again, New Jerusalem.
Because
You just said New Jerusalem's in heaven.
Is where the mansions are.
That's where the mansions are. He's coming to bring people, gather together the elect. They're going to that spot. That happens at the rapture.
Spot.
So at the rapture, is New Jerusalem going to come down?
No.
So therefore, these people would be going to heaven, right?
We'll be going to be with Jesus.
Which is where?
I'm just saying what he specified. We're going to be with Jesus.
Where?
He said, wherever he is. I don't know.
Which
will Jesus be on the
I
earth
think
while
heaven.
God's
I
wrath
think
is poured
heaven.
out?
I just need the proof.
You think heaven? Okay.
I think heaven. I'm assuming.
I'm glad that that's your assumption.
I'm assuming.
There was a good question, another one here. And again, I want to kind of stick to the issues here, all right? Does he believe Jesus is the one on the throne in Revelation chapter 6? Does he believe Jesus is the Father? Also, can we see the Father?
No. Jesus is the one seated on the throne in Revelation 6.
Jesus is the one seated on the throne. Okay, so you don't believe the one that sat on the throne is the Father, it's Jesus.
In Revelation 6. I don't believe the world seeing the face of the Father.
Okay. Well, let's go to the passage because I think it's important to understand what we're referring to. I believe it is, let's see, in verse 16, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? So I don't think that means they're seeing the Father's face.
I don't either.
They're trying to hide us, or excuse me, they're trying to hide from God the Father's wrath, which he's about to pour out on the world.
Wait, God the Father's wrath or the wrath of the Lamb?
Sure, it's the wrath of the Lamb. We know that that's what it says there in Revelation 6:16. But here's my point, though. Do you believe that God the Father is seated on the throne in heaven at all?
Yes, but I don't believe the world is seeing God the Father in heaven in Revelation 6.
Okay. So let's say in chapter 4, for example, when
that's another reason too to think it's possible that the one seated on when he's seated on the throne in Revelation 6, it's the same as him being seated on the throne in Matthew 25.
I understand. My point is it always Jesus who sat on the throne? Revelation 4:10, him that sat on the throne.
No, not chapter 4.
Not in chapter 4. And in chapter 5, when it talks about him that sat on the throne and the Lamb takes the book out of the hand of him who sits on the throne? Is that also God the Father?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. Is that Jesus on the throne or God the Father?
Jesus is taking the book from the Father.
From the Father. In chapter 6, it's Jesus on the throne, not God the Father.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's Jesus on the throne in Matthew 25, not God the Father.
Okay. So it kind of switches then who it's talking about. It's not consistent in your
Well, again,
opinion.
yeah, because I mean, God's not going to reveal himself to the world. And in Revelation 6, the world's seeing what's taking place. So I don't know how that would be God the Father.
In which chapter?
Chapter 6.
In chapter 6, you don't see how that could be God the Father. All right.
No. I don't believe the world's going to see God the Father.
Well, again, I don't think that verse says that they're necessarily seeing him.
That would kill the whole world.
I don't think they're seeing him necessarily. I mean, they're literally saying, hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne. Mm-hmm. So it's not that they're looking directly into his...
when Jesus comes in power and great glory, it's going to freak the world out. They're going to be terrified, as they should be. He's not coming like he did the first time. He's coming with vengeance. So, yeah, they're going to freak out when they see Jesus.
And it seems like you're kind of hung up on Matthew 25.
I am.
The verse where it talks about how when the Son of Man comes, he's going to sit on the throne of his glory, correct?
Yep.
You're applying that to the rapture event, correct?
Yes.
So during the rapture event, are the sheep and the goats judged with one of them being wiped out?
Not according to my timeline.
Okay, you've changed your timeline, right? It's no longer like the typical Daniel 70th week. Isn't it different now?
No. That's I don't think you understand the Daniel 70th week issue. I don't know if we want to get into that because it's kind of irrelevant to the conversation. No, I see the order of events the same as you guys do.
Okay, so my point is that when is there a sheep-goat judgment at the rapture?
I have always thought that took place at the when he, at the second phase of his coming, when he steps foot on the Mount of Olives. I've always seen that as a separate
I thought
event.
That too. I think that currently.
I've always seen that as a separate event from the rapture. That's how I've always looked at that. The problem is the individual I was talking to that corrected me on this. He was like, "How can you say that the Son of Man coming in his glory with his holy angels is not the event of Matthew 24 when Jesus is coming in power and great glory and he's sending his angels?" And it's just like, oh, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's just referring to the fact that he's arrived already on earth. This is my personal opinion, is that Matthew 25 occurs at the end of Daniel's 70th week, directly before the millennium. And it's the great division of the sheep and the goats. That's when the goats are all slain, just as in Luke chapter 19, Jesus says, those mine enemies which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. I think you can make the connection there to the goats being slain. But I want to bring up this comment from Pastor Anderson here. Every Trinitarian theologian says Revelation 6:16 is God the Father. Only Oneness Pentecostals taught that it's Jesus starting in the 20th century. I mean, are you aware that this interpretation is one that is shared by Oneness Pentecostals?
I had no idea. I had no idea that the new IFB didn't believe that. I always thought when Jesus Christ came and every eye saw him, that it was going to be God the Son, not God the Father. And when everybody's connected Revelation 6, when they're saying highest from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, I always thought everybody's talking about Jesus. I did not know anybody taught the world saw the face of God the Father at the rapture.
Well, I don't believe that people see the face of God the Father at the rapture. I think they're trying to hide themselves from his wrath. But let's look at Revelation 19. It says, and after these things...
It says hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne and the wrath of the Lamb. The Lamb for sure is Jesus. So if they're hiding from the wrath of the Lamb and the face of him that sitteth on the throne, that seems like they're trying to hide from something they can see, that they don't want to see. So that would imply that the world is going to see the face of God the Father at his return.
Well, even if that were to be true, it's clear that they're hiding anyway, so they wouldn't be seeing it regardless. Even if you're totally right about that.
They were already hidden.
They wouldn't see his face anyway. Go ahead.
Guys, this isn't working for you.
No, hold on though, because this is a fallacy here to say that we're going to take the statement recorded of those in Revelation 6:16 and base the fact that that is just concrete doctrine, that what they are saying is true. They're saying, hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne. The Bible is not saying the face of God the Father is evident to the world. These are two different statements.
And we literally would have looked at it.
And
that's
we're
not
drawing a through line.
So they are,
but we can't do that.
They're just hiding from the face of God figuratively.
Because God the Father, God the Father is about to pour out his wrath on this world through the Lord Jesus Christ. And so they're afraid of that, and they are attempting to hide
I don't have
that.
a problem with that interpretation, that God is the Father is doing something through Jesus Christ. I don't have a problem with that interpretation because that's true. It sounded like you guys were saying people are going to see the face of God the Father.
I'm not.
I said
I'm
no
not saying
multiple
that.
times.
I've never said
what
that.
about in Revelation?
Then where are we disagreeing? Then where are we disagreeing?
That it's not Jesus on the throne, it's God the Father on the throne.
It's God the Father on the throne, I believe, in Revelation 6.
But that does not necessarily mean
Jesus isn't on the throne in Revelation 6.
I don't believe so. I think that the Bible is consistent to the book of Revelation, that he that sits on the throne, with the one exception being Revelation 3:21, is
Jesus
referring
sits on
to
the
God the
throne
Father.
earlier in Revelation.
I just said, I understand in Revelation 3:21, but it's a two-seater. So God the Father would be there anyway. But Revelation 19, because maybe it was like a chariot throne, something like that.
So hang on a second. Yeah, I get it. They can both sit on the throne or whatever. But at the same time, this is something that's being seen on earth. So wouldn't that make it seem more like an indication that it's a Matthew 25 event going on? Because they're not going to see God the Father's not going to be in the throne then. And do you think that's going to be a different throne in Matthew 25, like Jesus going to get a new throne?
I actually think that could be. I actually do think that could be the case. Yes.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion. Again, I don't know.
We're all allowed to have opinions.
That I think that it's likely an event that occurs directly before the millennium. That's the way I view it. But I'm curious about Revelation 19.
So and that's fine. That's been my position. I just need a good explanation for why. In Matthew 24 and 25, same story. When Jesus tells them about him coming in the clouds with power and great glory, sending his angels, and in that same story and in that same setting, he says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory and all the holy angels with him. So he is referring to something that they know about, I'm assuming, because he just told them about an event where he's coming in his glory with the holy angels. So I feel like I can't make an honest argument that that's not the rapture. I don't want it to be, because then I'm wrong on my timeline. I'm wrong about how my image of the separating of the sheep and the goats and all that. But then also it makes it seem like a lot of your historic pre-mill people are right on how they interpret that, because the historic pre-mills that I've talked to, they have the same, they have the same idea of just one phase of the coming, and that it's all at the end. Some of them even after the wrath.
Just a couple of comments here. We have Stephen saw Jesus on the right hand of God the Father from earth. He says, to be clear, I don't think they see God the Father's face in Revelation 6:16, but they are hiding from his face, which I think we've articulated that a few times.
So they're hiding from something they can't see. Okay, that's an interesting theory.
Yeah, because the verbiage is more so connected to what he's about to do. And I would argue that the way you're looking at it is kind of a hyper-literal. You're going a little too hyper-literal in my estimation, in my opinion.
I believe we're literally going to see Jesus when he returns.
And of course, we would all agree with that.
Okay.
In chapter 19, we have believers in heaven. How did they arrive there?
So, question I've been asking for years on my podcast. I keep telling everybody, why is the event of Revelation 19, when Jesus Christ is coming in the clouds with his saints, not the event of 1 Thessalonians 4, where Jesus Christ is coming in the clouds with his saints? My answer to that is, well, because according to my timeline, we're supposed to be doing some time up in heaven. According to King James, according to a lot of the old timers, they have that more symbolic and of the coming of Christ. And I forgot how I'm trying to think of the wording. It's escaping me right now. But again, it's my position we're in heaven. I'm just trying to find that clear verse showing when and how we got there, because the people that I'm talking to as well, they also believe Revelation 19 is the rapture. So again, that's my position. I'm looking for proof. So if you have it, give it to me.
You want proof that Revelation 19 is not the rapture? Was that the question? What was it again?
That it's not. Proof that it's not the rapture.
Well, because it's a totally distinct event. It's the Battle of Armageddon.
Right, but again, the historic premills think that it's all one event.
They would be wrong.
Okay, but when I just tell people you're wrong, they don't just change their mind. I have to prove it.
I'll get into it in a second.
This is why I put these challenges out. We got to sharpen these things up.
I'll answer that in a second. I want to get the chat room here because some people are getting annoyed. I want their comments on the screen. Okay. Let's see here. Honey Badger says his face is too bright and clouded. You can't look. So, again, I think just the fact that it mentions God the Father's face doesn't mean that it would be possible for you to look at him. They can see Jesus coming. They can't see the Father's face. His face signifies him seeing them, not them seeing his face. So you have some answers here, and keep the comments coming. I want to put them on the screen. If you have an opinion or response to what Pastor McMurtry is saying. But regarding Revelation chapter 19, the Bible says, "And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war, etc. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword." And then it says, let's look at verse 18, "that ye may eat the flesh of kings," talking about the marriage supper of the Lamb. Verse 19, "And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with fire and brimstone." So we never left chapter 19. Then it says the remnant were slain, etc. This speaks nothing of believers being gathered together. Revelation 6 is clearly a rapture. It uses, I bet you'll like this, rapture language in Revelation chapter 6. It does not in Revelation 19. That's a distinct event where Jesus is clearly coming on a white horse to destroy the Antichrist's new world order, and we have the Antichrist. Obviously, he's slain. We have the lake of fire, the beast, and the false prophet thrown in the lake of fire. So I'm trying to understand what's the confusion here with this potentially being the rapture. I'm not getting it.
I don't understand the point you're trying to make.
I mean, I read through the passage and I didn't see anything related to believers being gathered together and taken up to heaven. I see Jesus coming down to earth to set up his kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. But I guess I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding what you're trying to find out about that. Are you assuming that the armies are us with Jesus? Are we in this story?
I believe so. We're coming back from heaven.
I've always put myself with the armies. How do I prove that?
Well, I mean, we're coming back from heaven with the Lord Jesus Christ. I think it just makes sense.
It doesn't specify us, though. It's specifying the judgment that's going to come on the world and on the devil and the false prophet, just like the previous chapter had the destruction of Babylon, talking about all, kind of the world getting theirs during this time. But I don't see a gathering taking place there. I'm just assuming we're a part of the armies because, we're with the Lord. But again, Revelation 19 doesn't prove our point. We all interpret Revelation 19 in light of our timeline, but it doesn't prove our timeline. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I do the things I do. I don't do it to get attention. I do it because there are other coherent positions out there in certain areas, And when they challenge these things, I'm trying to give an honest response. And it's just like, yeah, I would tell people, where are the armies? How do I prove that to them?
Well, I
I'm not
believe
sure.
Revelation 19 would have
Because here's the thing too about Revelation. Here's another thing too.
I mean, we're in heaven in the first 2 verses.
Well, it talks about the bride. It talks about the bride, and it talks about in verse 5, it talks about a voice came out of the throne, praising our God, all ye his servants, and ye that fear him, both small and great. And I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thundering, saying, Hallelujah, for the Lord God omnipotent reigneth. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready, and to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And he saith unto me, right, blessed are they which are called into the marriage supper of the Lamb. And then it goes on into, after that, talking about Christ coming on the horse to make war. I believe that that is proof that it's talking about the bride of Christ. It's talking about believers.
Yeah, in verse 14. Verse 14 is key. Verse 14 is key. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. So it's like, I'm failing to understand what's so confusing about that or difficult. And I don't see how it's difficult to defend our position based clearly just on the text of Revelation 19.
And linking the fine linen, too, with the linens that you have in verse 8 that were granted to the bride. So it
angels also wear the same thing. So here's why. Again, in Revelation, in Revelation 19, where you have the marriage supper of the Lamb too. Again, I don't have my Bible in front of me. I think it's in Isaiah chapter 24 when it's talking about Mount Zion, all that. It also there's reference to eating flesh. It sounds like the marriage supper of the Lamb around that same time taking place on earth. And so again, maybe under the new covenant, this is fulfilled in a heavenly Zion. And so we would put that in heaven. I'm just saying, and there's a multitude in heaven right now, because again, the dead in Christ are already there. I'm just saying that you could go multiple ways with that. That's not necessarily proof. We're all reading our theology into that passage.
Honey Badger put Revelation 15 and verse 2, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and then that had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God.
Right. And
is that at Temple? Is this in Temple 0?
Have I ever claimed that?
I'm asking.
No.
Did I say you claimed it? I just asked.
I mean, it's such a weird question. I'm assuming you would have a reason to think that.
Okay, I'll rephrase the question.
Jab. It's a funny jab.
Is it on Earth? Is it on Earth?
Yeah. Okay, so we're playing games.
No, I think
you started the stream. Hold on, you started the stream playing games, calling me autistic. So let's start over here. Is it on Earth?
Filter.
Is it on Earth?
Right. That's not wrong to ask.
No, that's
a genuine question with a little bit of like a ha in there.
Revelation 15's in heaven.
And these people got the victory over his image, his mark.
Right. Isn't that assuming martyrs? That's how they got victory? Is it they got victory by avoiding the mark or by not taking it and dying?
This is Revelation chapter 15. The rapture was in chapter 14.
Well, again, yeah, Revelation 4. I believe Revelation 14 is symbolic of the rapture. For sure.
So we're one chapter later, and we're referring to those who had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image. I think we see the same thing in Revelation chapter number 20, when it says, and I saw thrones, in Revelation chapter 20 and verse 4, and I saw thrones, they sat upon them, judgment was given. And then it says, and I saw... and judgment was given to them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. This is the first resurrection.
Mm-hmm. What about it?
I mean, this is the first resurrection. These are people that were resurrected from the dead. They're in heaven
the millennial reign
with the thrones. They're in heaven at this time.
Wait, where? So because you see thrones, it's in heaven. So we're going to rule from heaven
No, I'm saying that the setting here is in heaven. I didn't say we're ruling from
because
heaven.
yeah, right.
Eventually, they come down.
Are you claiming it's in heaven because there's thrones?
I do believe so. Yes.
Okay, so the thrones that we are going to rule and reign from are in heaven, not on earth.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, because this is about the millennium, I would think those thrones would be on earth.
I think eventually they will come down to earth. I think eventually we're going to have.
That's what I believe about Jesus' throne too.
Right.
That's
but
why.
that'll happen.
That's why we see him on the throne in heaven at first.
Just not at the
then
rapture,
in chapter
though.
6, he could be on earth.
The thing is that it's 3.5 years later. Is the point I'm trying to make? Okay. So the people who were resurrected and went up to heaven afterward are coming back 3.5 years later.
Are you showing that none of that timeline that you mentioned there is in Revelation 20? You see a resurrection, and then you see thrones, and you're assuming it's in heaven. I'm assuming it's on earth in Revelation 20 because the millennium is on earth. What's being described there is on earth. And again, in that, right, Revelation 22, one area where we're very different than like your Mills, Post Mills, a lot of these other people too, that's where they put the coming of Christ too. And they see the millennium more as just kind of figurative in many cases, and they believe that the resurrection is what's going to come, and then we're going to go right into the new heaven and new earth.
Right. So what I was trying to say is that the resurrection occurs, and those people who are resurrected end up in heaven, is what I'm trying to say. Because it wouldn't make any sense for them to remain on earth.
That's what I believe, but I'm not seeing evidence of that in Revelation 20.
So they stay on earth for God's wrath the entire time.
Well, if we were
resurrected,
if we were on earth for God's wrath, here's another reason too. One of the reasons I don't think that it's on earth, because if that were the case, one of the things I would be wrong on, that I would have to eat a lot of crow on, is about any kind of future temple. Because when Jesus is pouring out his wrath, he's going into a temple to do it. So hypothetically, if we were on earth, we're going to be with the Lord. We're going to be protected, like the 144,000 are protected. So I don't have a problem there. We would be with the Lord. We would be protected. We would be in our glorified bodies. But again, to me, Jesus Christ going into the temple and pouring out the vials, I believe that's a temple in heaven. And if that were on earth, I've always read that as in heaven, but if that were on earth, then that would mean there would be a temple that came at Jesus Christ's return. And that creates a lot of problems for me if that were the case. Because here's what something I heard you guys mention before I got on too. You were asking if I had any friends, because again, I was putting a challenge out there, because this is my claim. Revelation 7, that alone is not proof. And so I said, I need proof. I have people in my church that have brought up some very compelling things, all from Revelation, that indicate heaven. However, there are still a few things I have to take the time to fact check and verify. I've not done it yet to make sure that is an actual legitimate argument, because there is a lot of all of us. It's hard to not read your theology into a lot of passages. I need to check it all up to make sure it actually holds up to actual scrutiny. And so one of my reasons for thinking we do get raptured to heaven, I don't believe in a future temple that's ever going to be on earth. And when I see Jesus going into the temple and to pour out those vials, I think that's in heaven, because I don't think there's going to be any kind of millennial temple on the earth. And so now nobody ever really brings that up. Sermon Trailers, when he was having his meltdown, never brought anything like that up. But again, I still, for me, who am honest in my analysis of things, the claims that I've made from that alone doesn't necessarily prove anything, unless there's a few other things I got to check up on. So, and I just haven't taken the time to do it.
I think what's frustrating for me, Pastor McMurtry, is that on your podcasts, you're very assertive about your positions, and you say, I think this is a valid question. Did he say in in his verse, I think maybe he means podcast, he showed 5 verses that are a slam dunk. That it's in his video is what he meant. Did he say in his video he showed 5 verses that are slam dunk that it's on Earth? So you're making these very assertive. I mean, didn't you say there's a slam? I mean, we'll play the video back. You talk about this is a slam dunk. It's on Earth.
Okay, let's watch that.
I'm pretty sure we literally have that clip.
Okay, I just want to know what I'm talking about because I might have said it, but I'm not positive what I would have been referring to if I would have said that.
Okay. I'm gonna play the video in the background here. We're gonna start to wind it down, but I want to play this video. Cameron. Okay, around minute 7. Let's go ahead to minute 7 here.
Because I could have been referring to other things.
Okay, here it is.
Okay.
So we're going to play the clip. Let me go ahead and cue it up now. Okay, stop screen. Go ahead, present. So this is the...
Are we going to have to watch that whole video or is just
No. It's like a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Here we go.
5 slam dunk verses that show it's on Earth. I think I did. And we did. We tried to take it slow.
Stop it.
Okay, so the comment is probably what Pastor Shelley's referring to. Pastor showed us like 4 or 5 slam dunk verses that show it's on Earth, and then he said, "I think I did." You have to understand from our perspective. Just one last thing. From our perspective, you're saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So from my perspective, okay, Tommy McMurtry has changed his doctrine on this.
He thinks it's on Earth,
and now thinks it's on Earth. Any reasonable person that understands the English language is going to come away with that. Now you come on. Oh, actually, I'm not sure that I've really changed, etc. And that's your right. I just, it's confusing.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, an edited clip's going to be confusing. I don't even know for sure what I'm referring to there. I could have been referring to the throne because, again, there are verses about the throne on Earth, and there's Matthew 25. The throne's clearly on Earth. I might have used one. I might have used some from Isaiah. So that might be what I'm referring to. I don't know for sure. With just that short of a clip responding to a comment, I don't know for sure because, yeah. That
all right. So bottom line is
saying there's a because sermon trailers was making a huge deal over the throne being in heaven in Revelation 4, and so I showed here's verses of the throne on Earth. So that's probably what he's referring to. I could be wrong. That's what I'm referring to. But again, I said on there, help me find evidence, proving we're in heaven because Revelation 7, that was my go-to. That was my proof text. That's where I made myself look bad because this person went to Matthew 25, showed every one of those things being on Earth.
All right.
And so it's like, so I got to go back to the drawing board on that. And when I had put out the challenge too on the previous podcast, I did that because I wanted to see how many people give me Revelation 7. And guess what? A bunch did.
So were you actually looking for proof?
It's clear he was saying the rapture.
That, I just wanted to see how many people actually would bring this up. Or was it what you said
so
like an
I
hour ago?
wanted
I actually wanted to see who would be triggered by it. Or was it slam dunk verses? Or was it, I don't really know that I've changed my mind. I did. I don't know that it's on Earth. Or was it, I could have been talking about something else. I mean, do you see how this it doesn't.
Well, I see that's how you're framing it. But if you watch my podcast enough, one of the things that I often bring up, and I brought up on that too, is Baptists specifically, when you challenge them, they flip out and they try to connect things to some kind of heresy. And it's just like, no, sometimes we don't have as strong of arguments as we think, and if let's go ahead and try to tighten this thing up. And when you put out that, hey, no, this could mean something else. This alone's not proof. It's astounding to me how triggered people get. And so I like to illustrate that by doing just that, just putting those challenges out there and watching the meltdowns.
Well,
and y'all didn't disappoint.
If the barrier to entry to understanding what your position is to watch more of your podcast to understand how you frame it, then who can stand before that, accusation?
But
Who
you guys have
watches the
done
podcast?
well. You guys have been involved in a lot of podcasts about my podcast. So again, I don't expect you to watch all my stuff. I don't. However, when you do podcasts about what I say, then I would expect you to do your research. Have you seen the whole podcast where I talk about this, or have you only seen Shelly's clip?
I'm gonna be honest. We came on here actually to do like a Bahamas recap, and it was like, hey, let's just quickly touch on this, and this is what it became. So no, we're not going out of our way to do like.
So you got in over your head.
In over our head.
Oh,
I think
I'm sure I'm sure you
wipe
wiped the floor with us.
You on what their doctrine.
You wiped the floor with us, Pastor McMurtry. I'm sure that's what you're gonna hear. Hey, listen, we can't go all night. I'm gonna let you go. The reality is, Pastor McMurtry, if somebody comes at me that's like a oneness Pentecostal and he's gonna hit me with Isaiah 9:6, and I don't have a good answer, I'm not gonna just start flirting with oneness Pentecostalism. I'm not gonna start flirting with work salvation.
Where did I flirt with oneness Pentecostalism?
I'm using it as an analog. I'm not saying you did that.
Okay, yeah, because I definitely did.
I think you've actually said, Pastor.
I don't know what your doctrine is on
other doctrines.
Yeah, I'm not sure what your view is on the Trinity. We're not going to get into it. The reality is,
Brother Cameron, what'd you say?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that it was your words that you said something about you flirting with other doctrines.
I said on a podcast, I get accused or I get in trouble for flirting. That's an accusation, and this is and again, it's because I talk to people of other persuasions on my podcast, and I get accused of that, and I laugh at that because that is laughable. I do not flirt with other doctrines.
So
I get accused of that, though. Yeah, I get accused of that.
And we would have to watch more of the Spirit of Prophecy to understand what that meant, because the clear statement that you made of I get accused of flirting with other doctrines is now being, or the statement, whatever it was that you made, is now like, it's a false accusation that I just get accused of that, and it's laughable because it's not true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is worth mentioning that
I'm in over my head because that is
like
not
I said. I don't think I'm flirting with you guys right now, like talking to you and coming on here. I mean, there's no flirting going on here. This is me accepting a reasonable challenge. I'm not afraid of that. And I'll do the same thing with Calvinists, with Hebrew Israelites, Jews. I don't mind. I'm not flirting with these people.
I'm glad to hear that. I do think your interpretation of Revelation 6:16 is kind of a oneness. A lot of oneness people do believe it that way. But
how is that? How is that oneness? Again, I believe that God is seated on the throne, and I believe Jesus Christ is seated at the right hand of the Father. I'm just saying I've never heard anybody claim that the world is hiding from the face of God the Father in Revelation chapter 6. I've always thought they were hiding from Jesus Christ, because behold, he cometh with the clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they all shall pierce him, and all the kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. I always thought it was Jesus. So again, I don't deny for a second, God the Father being seated on the throne and all that. But as far as that being physically manifest to the world in some way, I've not heard that. I'm not familiar with that. Is that possible? Sure. If you want to compare that to oneness Pentecostal, just to kind of make it sound terrible, there's other people who I don't have on my podcast simply because of the fact they do that same thing all the time, where anything they disagree with, their thing is always, well, that sounds like Calvinism. Okay, but it's not Calvinism, and something sounding like a bad group that we don't like is not proof of anything. So,
So when German Trailer sounded like he had a lot of new IFB in him, that was all about behavior. For you to,
that was about behavior.
That's different.
It wasn't about the things he was saying.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Behavior. I reject your new IFB behavior. Some of the greatest people I've ever met were new IFB, great men. There's women, there's children.
Oh, we know you feel that way about them.
We've God forbid I like Christians. How horrible!
Nobody.
How horrible! I love the brotherhood. I love Christians. I'm such a bad person for loving Christians, Pastor McMurtry. I'm glad that an independent. I'm glad that an independent Baptist pastor is shaming me for loving Christians. That's
what. You know what? I won't hold it against you. You poured the flattery on pretty good with me when I was on your podcast in the past. I didn't think it was that genuine back then, and I know it wasn't. But at the same time, you've poured it on with me in the past too. You've poured it on with every former New IB pastor.
Name an example. Name one example.
Roger,
Name one example.
you haven't been talking about Roger Jimenez.
Name one example of me flattering him.
When you just talk him up on his podcast.
Name one example in which I did that. When it was flat, that was clearly flattery.
Well, again, when you can just turn on him like that, that's what it seems like.
Turn on him like that? When did I turn on him?
Turned?
I didn't turn on anybody. He decided he doesn't want to fellowship with us, so I turned on him. That's wonderful logic.
You think he's a man of
wonderful
integrity
logic.
still?
Wonderful logic. Wonderful logic. That's wonderful logic. I'm disappointed in the behavior that he's exhibited, and people can change. And he's changed just like you've changed.
You're disappointed.
At one point,
that sounds like
at
hatred.
one point,
that's
you don't hate us. Okay, here's the thing, Pastor McMurtry.
You hate.
Here's the thing about Pastor McMurtry. If he doesn't hate us, I would love to know how he actually treats people he does hate. To obsessively talk about other people the way that you do, and to just focus on us every single day, to befriend people who are literally just a bunch of psychotic freaks that post about us all day, every day, including your buddy Loza and Amanda and Podhead Prophet and all these freaks and weirdos. Weirdos.
Not Pothead Prophet.
Oh, I'm glad you've disavowed him.
Oh, that guy's out.
I never avowed him.
Lowe's is in.
If
Dude,
you don't hate us,
dude, Pothead Prophet was a nut when he was at Faithful Word, and he's still a nut.
if you don't hate us, I'd love to see how you treat people you actually hate. I don't buy that for a second. Okay,
I don't really.
And you're on
treat
here.
bad.
Nothing has changed between us other than the fact that I still like the same churches I liked back then. Okay, there's no difference.
You still like Verity?
Obviously, Verity Baptist Church has gone in a completely different direction, and it took me months.
That direction's called away from Anderson.
Months. It took me no, actually not.
That
It's away from all of us.
Separation.
Not just Pastor Anderson. All of us. Okay? And second of all, it took me months before I even said anything about it because I'm not on a hair trigger to just go after people.
Well, yeah,
So
you had
there's
to
a
wait
pretty
for
big
Shelley's
difference.
Okay.
My pastor,
Even if that were true, what's so bad about that?
Shelley does a pretty good job keeping you guys contained. I'll give him that.
I don't even go to Steadfast. Pastor Shelley wasn't able to keep me contained when I was at Steadfast, and he knows that that's a joke as well. But okay, Pastor Jimenez came after Pastor Shelley and my pastor, Pastor Oz, attacking them for being people of low character. What did Pastor Oz ever do? And I'm not conceding that Pastor Shelley is low character or something. I'm just saying, what did Pastor Oz do?
Can I tell you what Pastor Oz did?
No. You hate Pastor Oz. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you trash him.
I don't hate Pastor Oz.
You hate everyone that is on our side. Okay, I'm not going to accept that crap.
I don't know enough about Pastor Oz to hate him.
Oh, I don't hate them. Except I just talk trash on him all day and despise them, rail on them, and all the rest of it.
Here's what happened with Oz. Because when I heard Pastor Jimenez go after him, I thought it was funny because I'd never seen Oz go after Jimenez.
He never has.
I've only ever heard him really pour it on for him. However, what was funny to me when he did that was because of the fact that I understand, Jimenez, he knows the new IFB playbook. So do I. The way they went after him was by going after Pazarski, who was teaching the exact same things. And he saw it for what it was. And that was kind of their warning to him. And so, yeah, he never mentioned him that I know of. Again, but at the same time, that's kind of how they do it sometimes. And he was in the new IFB. He knows how that works. And so it bothered him. It aggravated him.
All right.
And so, that was why he made that accusation.
Okay, we're done. We're done.
I
Listen,
have my new IFB playbook. It's called the Bible.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be accused of having a new IFB playbook, then I'm
incredible.
Just be
it's amazing to me. Like this world's falling apart. There's faggotry. There's false doctrine. There's the destruction of the nuclear family unit. There's all these issues, and your big problem is new IFB. It's Christians. It's soul winners. It's independent Baptists. It's incredible. But
at least I'm not raising the feminists. At least I'm not raising the trannies and the weirdos and all that kind of stuff and the LGBT.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens. There's still time.
At least we're providing
one day we can all be
as
wonderful as you. We can all be as godly and wonderful as you. We will get there one day. We just got to try harder. and I'll be as
Yeah,
smart
that's
as
right. You
Loza
don't
as
flatter,
well.
do Yeah, you don't flatter, do you? You're so sincere.
It's called sarcasm.
Nuance is
Yeah,
lost.
sarcasm and a little bit different than
it's
flattery.
hard. It's hard to tell.
All right, go ahead. Why don't you say the last word and please leave us.
Well, hey, thanks for letting me come on. Thanks for letting me lose the filter. I hope I did not, come across as fake. I try to be as real as I can be. You let me tell it like it is, and I'm sure you're going to have plenty more to say after I get off. And
no, I want to
that's
go see my
fine.
kids. I'm getting tired. I'd like to get off here. So
I haven't had dinner,
Okay.
so that's what I'm
But
going to
no,
do.
hey, listen, I give you points, and I have a policy. If people will, treat have a talk with me like a man, then that there's a level of respect. And even though we're going to walk away and disagree and still think very low of each other, I don't have a reason to continue to respond and attack about this particular issue. But again, at the same time, I hope the new IFB continues putting me down, saying negative things about me and my wife, because we don't want new IFB people in our church.
yeah, we know that you hate us, you despise us, you want us all to just go away, crawl into a hole somewhere, or whatever. That's fine. That's your opinion.
I mean, you improved that a little bit, but I don't want you in my
sure I
church.
did. That's great. I don't want to be there, but don't worry. I'm right here in Texas, loving life away from you. So don't worry about it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep. See you later.